I know you might be sad that this is one of the few videos remaining in the school year, but don't be. Let's get started. There are 14 questions. Well, maybe 15 questions, because you know I'm bad at numbering. 15 questions on this quiz, I guess, over matrices only. You can have your calculator for the entire time. If it's on here, it's on the test. So let's take a look at what we've got. So here we have matrix P, kind of explains small, medium, large are the size of the ice cream. The dimensions of the matrix, remember dimensions go down and then across, so this is a 2 by 3. The price of a medium gelato would be $7.25. And P, sub 1,3. P is, of course, the name of the matrix we're looking at, and 1,3 means you go down 1 over 3. So we're right here. And so this means that a large ice cream costs $7.50. Now, for the next several problems, there are not this many on the test. There's just a lot here to make sure, got one of each. I believe there are 5 where you have to do different operations with matrices. And due to the fact that it's very repetitive, it is smart to go to second matrix and save your matrices under A, B, C, and D, and then perform the operation just by typing in the name, rather than having to enter the matrix in over and over and over again. It's just smart to work smarter, basically. How about that? So here we go, A plus B. Now, in order to add and subtract, the dimensions do have to match. Of course, this is a 2 by 2, and this is a 3 by 3. So this is not possible. The answer is not no solution. The answer is that it's just not possible to add that up. Now, when you have to do multiplication, this is scalar multiplication, and then addition, I would check to see if it's even possible before you waste your time typing it in. This is a 2 by 4, and D is also a 2 by 4. So it is possible to add these together. So you would double all the parts of C and then add it to D. But if you have C and D in your calculator, then on your screen you should have 2 times matrix C plus matrix D, and just command the calculator with the names on the matrix. When you write your matrix down, please make sure that it is written as a matrix. Please make sure the numbers are in the correct location. Include the signs. This, of course, doesn't have any meaning, so it is just a matrix. Multiplying A times C, what you're looking for is that the second dimension matches the first of the second matrix. So this is possible to multiply together. And this one is a 38, negative 4, negative 38, 12 for the first row. Second row, negative 20, 0, 25, negative 5. Just straight out of the calculator. Now, A times A just means that. Matrix A times itself. It's not anything special. It's like taking 5 times 5. That's not the same as 2 times 2. So it's going to be different for each matrix. But it is possible because it's a 2 by 2 times another 2 by 2. So we get 4, negative 56, 0, and 25. The determinant of matrix B has to be done on the calculator. This is under matrix. And in that menu, go over to the math menu. And then right away, you'll see determinant, DET. So that has to go in the screen first. And then you put the matrix, or if you tell it matrix B. The determinant for matrix B is 162. This is your inverse key. So you're going to type it in exactly the way it looks here on the paper. Or you could do it yourself since it's a 2 by 2, but you don't have to. Please do not write down the decimals. That's not exact. We'd like the fractions to provide an exact answer. Remember, your matrix key is that x to the negative 1 key. It's just how happens to be the one attached to matrix. So we're dealing with 1/2, 4/5, 0, and 1/5. Please be very careful with how you type your matrices in. One little problem, one little mistake, and you'll get the wrong answer, and you'll never know if you're trusting your calculator. B times C. B is a 3 by 3, and C starts with 2, so this one is not possible. And again, that's not no solution. It's just not possible to do. This one's tricky. You do have to do multiplication first and then add the c. So you do have to make sure that this happens first. But if you type it into the calculator will perform it correctly. So we get 5, 30, negative 31, 20. And then 1, negative 15, 25, negative 11. On subtraction, you want to change all the signs on the second one. The dimensions have to be exactly the same in both in order to subtract, and they are here. So it is possible to subtract. Now 13 is a little bit more of an algebra problem, just designed to make you read the matrix, sort of interpret what it means a little bit. As you go, you know these are equal going across. And you're looking for one that has a single variable in it. I suggest that we start here with this 3z, because that's the only one that just has one variable in it. 3z plus 1 equals negative 14. So we get 3z equals negative 15, and z equals negative 5. Now from there, we can work our way backwards and just figure out, well, where else can we put the z? We can now put the z right into this one. So we know that that is negative 5 equals x minus 16. And when you add 16, you get 11 is the answer for x. And now that we have x, we can go ahead and answer the value for y. So now I'm all the way up here. I'm just working my way up. It doesn't have to be this organized. It just happens to be on this problem. There's no particular order. This one just happened to go up. So we're going to have negative 33, because I multiplied the 3 by 11, the negative 3, equals y plus 2. So we get negative 35 equals y. Now this problem has no real meaning to it, so you don't have to explain any of your answers. But there will be one just like that on the test. Make sure that you're able to know the difference between writing a matrix for a shape and a matrix for the determinant to find the area. They do get written differently. So it says, write and simplify a matrix sum. This means you need to write the entire equation. So again, when you write a matrix for a shape, it goes x, y. Then each point will go down. The points do not have to be in any particular order. I'm just going in order from left to right. So this is T, this is U, this is V. Now you don't have to label them either, I'm just showing you. Now in order to show my matrix sum, in order to add, that's what sum is obviously, we got to make sure the matrix has the same dimensions. You can't just add 2 or subtract 5 or whatever. You have to use the whole matrix. So 2 up. Up is controlled by y. So all of these have to be 2. So I need 3 2's on the bottom. And of course, left 3, that's controlled by x, so these would all be negative 3's. And then you would simply add them together. Now you have your calculator, but I hope you wouldn't need your calculator. We're just adding, and when you add, they stay in the same position. You will be given all of the reflection and all of the rotation matrices. So you won't have to memorize these or remember them anyway. You can just look at the paper. So a reflection over the x-axis is going to be written like this. So R sub x. That matrix is a 2 by 2 matrix and must come first. We're going to multiply this by the original triangle, the one that we translated, sorry, to represent a reflection over the x-axis of the translation. So we want the result of number 14. This, of course, will work because this is a 2 by 2, and this matrix is a 2 by 3. So the dimensions do allow for it to be multiplied. And of course, this answer is on the paper, but here it is, negative 4, negative 6, 0, negative 4, negative 9, negative 7. If you're asked to do anything with these points, remember the points go this way, so that is a corner of the triangle. For 16, we're doing a rotation, and again, this will be R sub 90. It's not a letter, so we know it's rotating 90. And so we want to do this one. So this one has this matrix, 0, negative 1, 1, 0. We're taking that times the original triangle. We're getting tricky. And so we're back to this one, negative 1, 2, negative 3, 7, and 3, 5. And of course this one, -2, -1 is a point, -7, -3, and the third corner is -5, 3. Now the area of triangle TUW. Well, we do not have a vertex at a corner. I'm going to just write them out just so I have them right here in front of me. -1, 2, at a corner, sorry. At the origin, we do not have a corner or a vertex at the origin. So the first thing you have to do is to move one of the corners to 0, 0. I'm going to do the first one because it has the smallest points. So I'm going to add 1 and subtract 2. So now this vertex is at 0, 0. It doesn't matter which one you move, but you have to be consistent. So then all the rest of these, I'm going to have to add 1 and subtract 2. And so now I have these coordinates that I'm going to use to find the area. This one is -2, 5. And this one, of course, is 4, 3. Now, depending on which corner you move to the 0, 0, you're going to have different numbers, but the area would be the same. Now, when you go to write this into the determinant is not a matrix. All right, so now we want to write this going down. So we're going to put the points into here. So we get going across -2, 5. And then the other point is 4, 3. You can type that into the calculator. I'm just going to do it by hand. It's half of this direction, which is -6, minus the other direction, 20. Remember, your area cannot be negative. You're going to get a negative answer at times. It's just the nature of the arithmetic. We're taking the absolute value, if that helps. Not the determinant now. That I know it's the same symbols, but it's absolute value. And so we're taking half of -26. So this is 13 units squared for the area of that triangle. For number 18, you're asked to put this back together. As you know, your top letter is your first letter. So this would be -11F plus 20G equals 12. 8F. I'm not even going to write. You can write 0G if you want to, but that equals -3. Now, when you're asked to do inverses, you have to actually write the inverse. Right? You don't have to calculate the inverse by hand, but you do have to write it. Now, I believe on the test, this is going to be set up not like this, but like a story problem. So you won't just be given the system of equations like this, or the matrix equation, however you want to look at it. You won't be given that. It'll be a story problem. You'll set it up. Then you'll be asked to solve it by inverses, not technology. So the first thing we do is find the inverse. Now remember, the order is that it goes matrix A times the inverse, which has to be written down. Please use fractions, not decimals. Oops, this is 4/7. Sorry. Then, of course, we're going to multiply this by the variables. These are all being multiplied. Now, on the other side, the inverse comes first. It comes second on the left and first on the right. Now, the only thing you have to actually calculate in terms of multiplying is the right-hand side. So you have to actually take and multiply these two matrices together. Or if you're smart, you would just type it in A inverse times whatever your matrix is. When you give the answer, please interpret the answer. We are dealing with x and y. The answer would be x equals -6 and y equals 1. So we get one unique solution. We get a point of intersection. Something that we talked a great deal about on Monday, Monday's paper. If the inverse of the matrix does not exist, what do you know about the solutions? Well, if you can't find the inverse in order to use the inverse, and that means that the solution can't be determined. Please be very careful with your no solution. We haven't used it yet. When you're multiplying or adding, if it's not physically possible, you say that it's not possible. And then, of course, if you can't find the inverse, then the solution can't be determined. Now there are two story problems on the test. One, of course, I just talked about. You'll be asked to solve with matrices. This one, of course, says write a matrix and use technology. This means REF, a matrix. We're writing a singular matrix. So you can see what we have. It's kind of like, it's a little bit different than the problem that we did on Monday because we have the total of number of cones. I'm going to use S for single and D for double. And so I know that I have a total of 250 cones. This includes no money. One single and one double, or all my singles and all my double cones all together. I sell 250. Now I'm going to use the part with the money. So I have $2 for a single and $2.50 for a double. And then, of course, that equals $565. Now, when you write the matrix, you're really trying to get rid of as many values as you can. So you don't really want to write 2.50. You're trying to really shorten up these numbers to keep it real simple. This will be an augmented matrix. If you want the dotted line, then put that on there. And when you type it in the calculator, you do RREF, then this matrix, and then please give the answer as to what it means. So don't write the matrix down. Tell me what that means. You know that S is on top and D is on the bottom. So that means we sold 120 single scoops and 130 double. And finally, the last story problem. This last story problem on the test, you're actually given a chart for. So you can see the layout of the numbers a little bit better rather than trying to read all this. So, not that reading is bad, but sometimes it's confusing. And it's not really, I'm not trying to trick you by making you get confused by reading it. I really want to see if you can do the mathematics behind it. So we have first, second, and third place. We have 3 variables. 3 variables requires 3 equations. So I've got first, second, and third. That's what I'm going to use, F, S, and T. And so it says we have a total of 20 individual event placers. So 20 people placed either first, second, or third. So first, second, third, there's 20 people. That's just counting them. Then it says first place gets 5 points. So let's do the part with the points. We have a total of 68 points. There's my total points. So first place is 5, so 5F. Second place is 3 points, so 3S. And third place is 1 point. Now it says that this Lawrence High School had as many second place finishers as first and third place combined. So second place equals first plus third. So first of all, we don't have all the letters lined up. So we are going to have to move this around a little bit. So this F has to come over here. So we're going to have negative F, right? So we're going to move it to line up with the F's. The plus S is good. And then we have to move the T over. Minus T equals 0. So now you can see all the F's, the S's, and the T's are on a row. And I'm not using that equation to write my matrix. So it says write a matrix. So we're going to use an augmented matrix. 1, 1, 1, 20, 5, 3, 1, 68. And the equation we moved around, negative 1, 1, negative 1, 0. If the lines help you to put that in there. Then you go to RREF, and you type in the matrix. And so we get, don't write the answers, 7, 10, 3. Interpret what it means. We had 7 first place, 10 second place, and 3 third place. That's the whole test.